Chris Aluja coming in, Joanne, for Rovers this evening.
Just welcoming the Rovers TV radio listeners. We've just gone on air live now. Apologies for that. We were having some issues with Wi-Fi.
So, okay, fair enough. So I'll give another rundown of the team once the match gets going. But Joseph, we're talking about that Rovers team. Chris Aluja had a fantastic introduction last week with 2 tries in 3 minutes at the start of that second half. And he's been rewarded with a starting place today.
Definitely, you'd hope to see him play plenty of minutes today. He's got a real chance to show what he can do, try and earn his place in the team, in the starting lineup against Halifax in that first competitive fixture of the season, because in those centre roles, there's plenty of competition.
John, where do you see the key areas for Rovers this evening?
The key areas for Rovers, obviously, they'll be looking at the pivot combinations, will John Sharp, and looking at where the halfback pairing might sit going forward into the 2017 season. It's the last of the 5 pre-season games, and Featherstone Rovers will be looking to see if they can make it 5 out of 5 tonight.
Quick rundown of the team just for the benefit of those just joining us on the stream. We do apologise for the late start with that. The Rhinos are quite a strong opening 13. It is Rovers in possession on this first set. They are starting at fullback with Ashton Golding. Are Tom Briscoe, Callum Watkins, Jimmy Kinehorst and Ryan Hall. The bench is Liam Sutcliffe and Rob Burrow. In that front row are Mitch Garbett, Matt Parcell and Anthony Mullally, who was on here, of course, on dual registration last year. In the second row is Jones, Buchanan and Ablett. And at loose forward is Jack. And here halfway, up to halfway. That's a great try to get Rovers into the Rhinos half. It's the last tackle here. And there's a kick from Matthew Wildy. Finds the claw, it bounces up off Ryan Hall. And Ryan Hall will drive that ball back in. Quick rundown of the Rovers team news. 4 changes from last time out. At fullback is number 1, Ian Hardman. In the 3-quarter, the Scott Turner, Jason Walton. In for Luke Briscoe comes Chris Aluja, 2-try hero in the second half last week. And in for James Duckworth comes Kyron Johnson. And it looks like at the minute Kyron Johnson is on the opposite wing to Ryan Hall. And it's Scott Turner facing off against Ryan Hall. Here the Rhinos on their own 40 though. Rovers in the halves have got Anthony Thackeray and Matthew Wildy. As the Rhinos go into the Rovers half, that's a great drive. Made a further 10 metres with 3 players on his back. It was Jones Buchanan. And here's Rob Burrow. He puts that kick in the air. Ian Hardman underneath it. He'll take those all day with Ian Hardman. And there's a good drive in on the return. Rovers in the front row this evening. Darryl Griffin. Luke Cooper comes in for Andy Bostock. And in between those two is Keil Carlisle. In the second row, Johnny Davis drops to the bench and Mariano comes in. And he'll be alongside Michael Knowles. And Rovers also have Brad Tagg as well. On the bench for Rovers this evening are Richard Moore, Johnny Davis, Andy Bostock. And there's a half break from Mariano. It's Wildy again. He'll kick from Acton half over the top. That one finds the ground. But Ashton Golding returns that well. And he brings it centre field before he's almost away. And he is away. Breaks one tackle. But gets the Rhinos just short of their own 30. Also on the bench for Rovers today are Josh Hardcastle, Kyle Briggs and Sam Day. Joanne, your thoughts on the opening exchanges?
It's been quite equal, hasn't it? Featherstone have put 2 good sets of 6 in and they've ended up kicking and turning Leeds around in their own 10-metre area. Ashton Golding bringing it away on that second occasion. Similarly, when Leeds have had the ball, they're looking to do half breaks there. Ashton Golding managed to evade Aluja and Luke Cooper, and the referee's just fallen over, so that's why you'll have heard a little cheer in the background from the fans. He just fell on his backside, so just as he was tracking back. But yeah, Leeds into the Featherstone half at the moment, 35 metres away from the Featherstone line, so they're looking, the kick's going to come in there. It's a high one, it's swelling under the footlights for Ian Hardman, but it's as safe as houses and takes it well, and he's tackled to the floor as he takes that ball. So good kick and chase there from Leeds, but equally up to the test was Ian Hardman when he took that ball cleanly and safely.
Safe as houses, Ian Hardman as always. Here come Rovers. I'm looking to work out from their own 20. Here's Mariano. And Rovers work it through the hands, out to that left-hand edge. That's a good break by Aluja. He gets Rovers over halfway. A great break from Chris Aluja there. Rovers now with Thackeray. Thackeray switches back. He comes back left again. Rovers just lose a little bit of momentum there. But the 35 metres out, 10 metres in from touch, Joanne.
Yeah, it was a good break there over on that left-hand flank. Beluga. Anthony Thackeray just puts a grubber along the floor, but it's easily taken by Leeds, and they bring it across up to their 20-metre area. So, and Brad Tagg just had a second go there at the Leeds player and has given the penalty away. So Leeds get a penalty on their own 20, which they'll kick to touch.
Tom Briscoe it was who won that penalty for the Rhinos. That kick's coming towards us. It just bounces on the roof above us. So the Rhinos then are going to start just short of halfway now with Jimmy Kinehorst. Into the Rovers half to go, just short of the 40. 10 metres in from this left-hand touchline. The ball's worked in field. Here's Mitch Garbett now. Rhinos with their first real chance to attack this Rovers line now. Put some pressure on. A break from Match in half from Matt Parcell. He gets that ball away. Still going though. And in fact, he is up to the 20th, Parcell. So that's a great break there.
It was a good run from Matt Parcell, wasn't it? Leeds made that signing in the close season. They were after a hooker. They've bought him over from Australia and is showing some of what he can do there.
Robbie Burrow shows it once and drops that pass off to Jack Ormondroyd. Is that Jack Ormondroyd? I think it is, you know. Jack Ormondroyd against the Rovers. After 6 minutes, it's a perfect start. The ball swung left from Robbie Burrow through the hands to Jack Ormondroyd. He just showed the strength to bounce off a couple of Rovers tacklers, drop over just 3 or 4 metres to the left of the uprights. And with 6 minutes gone here at the Big Fella Stadium, it's Featherstone Rovers 0. Leeds Rhinos 4, Joanne.
And we saw what Jack Ormondroyd was capable, didn't we, in his blue and white colours last week for Featherstone Rovers. He's in the Leeds colours this week, showing the Featherstone players what he's capable of as well. And Luke Cooper, he put him on the floor there, and Jack Ormondroyd went just to the left of the uprights. It's going to be an easy conversion kick for Liam Sutcliffe, is this, I'd imagine, to put Leeds Rhinos 6-0 ahead with 7 minutes gone on the clock. But yeah, it's his strength, power, his range. Jack Ormondroyd is what you would call more or less a perfect rugby league player, and you can see him doing a lot of damage this season.
Joseph, it's similar to what we saw last week against against Wakefield, of course. They took the early lead, but Rovers battled back and really fought well in that match against Wakefield. We're looking to do the same again tonight.
At that point, Ben, Featherstone could have been quite pleased with the start they've made. It's been nothing but completed sets up until giving that penalty away. All of a sudden, that changed the way the game was going. It was tight, nip and tuck until then. Leeds were able to break out, get on the attack, put Featherstone under pressure, and Ormondroyd does the business. It's a real three-way competition for places between him, Baldwinson and Cooper for me. One of those players is likely to be getting a regular space in this Leeds team week in, week out. And one of those remaining 2 players is likely to be in the Featherstone team week in, week out. So it's all on today's game, really.
A lot of oohs from the crowd there as Liam Sutcliffe it was who juggled the kick-off, but he did hold on. So the Rhinos now up to the 30. And here's Jones Buchanan. Rovers need to look and complete this set. Pen the Rhinos back, Joanne, get a good set back and try and build on this.
And it was on the back of a Rovers penalty as well, wasn't it? And it shows that you can't give away cheap meters to a team like Leeds Rhinos. They will punish you, and that's exactly what they did do to us.
Jimmy Kinehorst on the back of a break there from Parcell from Match in half. This time Parcell finds Burrow. Through the hands it goes. But great defence there from Featherstone Rovers. The ball's loose.
It's poor play by Leeds, is that? It was the last tackle, and Leeds I don't think we're aware. The referee did have his hand up and he was calling last for quite a while there. And Leeds, in some sort of disarray, they've ended up putting the ball to the ground. So it's a turnover to Featherstone Rovers, just short of their own 40 metre.
And Ian Harben takes Rovers just a couple of metres shy of halfway now, centre field. The ball comes right with Matty Wildy. That's a good break inside this time. It's Jason Walton.
He comes onto those balls at angles, doesn't he, Jason Walton? We saw that before. It worked well for him, and this time Leeds were wise to it. But before, when he came on, that's when he made the break, wasn't it? And there's a high tackle there coming in by Carl Ablett, and the referee, Mr. Kendall, has given the penalty to Featherstone. So that's Featherstone's first penalty of the game. Anthony Thackeray is going to take the kick to touch.
It was a great break from Keil Carlisle out of the acting half-back to get the position. The Rovers are going to start out 25 metres out from that Rhinos line. Here's Luke Cooper, centre field now. Rovers come right. That's a drop-off pass. The ball's dropped forward though, so it's a knock-on from Rovers. A disappointing set on the back of what was promising territory there, Joe.
Last week, whenever the attacking area, they looked threatening against Wakefield. They looked like they had potential to score on every occasion. This week, Leeds have done exactly that when they've been presented an opportunity on the Rovers line. Featherstone there with their first opportunity couldn't look to create anything. They cough up possession with plenty of tackles left in the bag. You can't do that against teams like Leeds. You've got to take your opportunities, and that's what it'll be like in those middle-eights if we get there this season. That's what it'll be like in those top games in the Championship against the likes of Hull KR and Toulouse.
Jamie Jones, Buchanan's just stripping off for the ladies.
And do you think it's a case of perhaps trying too hard when you're coming up against top opposition like Leeds and just trying too hard? Do you think near your own line, thinking you've got to score because it's your first chance, Joe?
I think there's definitely a sense of that. I think in pre-season friendlies, that can even be more true because players are looking to impress. They're looking to showcase their abilities. But we've certainly got some players who force the offload and are experienced with that. You've got players like Andy Bostock. He offloads week in, week out. He's doing it all the time. You've got to trust his judgment. But some players force the issue when it's not required. What's more important than any of that, though, is coercion and understanding. You can't do what Featherstone are doing here, though, and making matters worse for themselves. They cough up possession, then give away a penalty. That turns the pressure from them, and now they're facing pressure from Leeds.
And here are the Rhinos then driving in. Some good points there made by the two Joes. Massive parcel waits 35 metres out from this Rovers line. So drive in there from Mitch Garbett. Garbett gets that ball up 25 metres out from that Rovers left. Blind, sorry. So Rovers, the Rhinos then on the Rovers 10 metres to the left of the uprights. Here's Robbie Burrow. Swings that ball right. It goes through the hands again. An inside pass there. But good defence on Rovers. They read that situation well. And we have now got the floodlights on in that corner. It was off. We didn't know if it was going to come on before the game, but it is now on. Over in that far corner then, the Rhinos swing the ball in field. It's a kick, but that's great pressure. It's well taken by Rovers as well. I think that was Kyron Johnson who took that ball.
Scott Turner, who's the winger over on this side. I'll tell you what, Ben, to me, Scott Turner's had the biggest transformation in closed season of any player. He looked the shadow of the player he was at Sheffield in some games last season for the Rovers, but this year he's been a transformed man. Unbelievable the way he's been blitzing through teams and really solid under the high ball there.
He has. We interviewed him when it was the photo shoot down here last Saturday, and I said to him, the fans have really got behind Scott Turner and seen such a remarkable transformation. And he said himself the injury that he had last season was kind of a wake-up call for him, and it gave him a lot of reflection time. And you can tell sometimes it's serendipity, isn't it, when injuries like this happen? Not nice at the time, but if it gives you time to have a break away from the game to reflect on how your game is and improve it, and perhaps spend more time with the fitness coordinators in the gym and not away from having to do match training, then maybe that's what helps you to improve your game sometimes.
Undoubtedly, some players have a break, they come back and they really struggle to get back up to the pace of the game. Some of them use it as a chance to recuperate. They've had a season's rest while the rest of them have had grueling work in that time. And their mind sorted to come into some wonderful form like has been done so far. Leeds though coughing up possession on that far side. It's Knowles who tries to cut inside for the Rovers. He gets the ball away to Griffin. Griffin sends it over to the other side. Now it's Wildy who finds Walton, but Walton's brought to ground just inside the Rovers 30.
Rovers have made a change early doors. Andy Bostock's come on for Luke Cooper. If that's an injury or tactical, just offloaded. It's been picked up by the Rhinos, and the Rhinos are going to be over here under the sticks. An offload from Andy Bostock. Rovers either weren't aware or didn't read it. It was picked up by the Rhinos with a stroll under the sticks. So the Rhinos stretch out further. It was Matt Parcell who picked it up and strolled over under the sticks. And with 14 minutes gone here at the Big Fella Stadium, Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds Rhinos 10, Joanne.
Easy try for Matt Parcell there, wasn't it? The ball, Andy Bostock in the tackle, had a few players around him. He is, as we've just been discussing, a prolific offloader, and he offloaded in that situation in your own half, 40 metres away from your own line, not a lot on. And it's what I went back to saying, where sometimes you try a little bit too hard and sometimes you'll try things too much, when actually it's better just to keep hold and have a little bit of possession. That's not come off there. It's something they'll be looking at, I'm sure, to firm up before we play Halifax a week on Sunday.
We're going to see Stevie Ward in a moment for the Rhinos. He strips off ready on the touchline. Joe?
I'd said that we can trust some of our senior players who are used to offloading down the middle of the park, like Andy Bostock, to make their own judgments. But he's had a bit of a murder, offloading well in his own territory. More important than that, though, there was no understanding from the rest of the team that the ball was coming out. If there's plenty of players backing up, and if we decided that that's going to be a game plan we'll take, that we're going to make you more use of the second phase, then you can offload wherever you like. But it's got to be a discussion that takes place within the team, and there needs to be that sense of coercion, as we've been saying.
That kick-off is well taken on that occasion by Liam Sutcliffe, who returns the ball in himself, met by Rovers. And how important is it now, Joanne, for Rovers to try and get a foothold in this game, pen this Rhinos team back, force them to kick from deep to allow them to get some good territory now? Yeah,
what we're needing is a good defensive set of six, a clean set without giving any penalties away. They're a strong outfit of the Leeds. Oh, there we go. There's the penalty. I was just going to say they're a strong outfit of Leeds. They're causing us all sorts of problems down the centre of the field. And Daryl Griffin it was there, who just had a bit of a second go, and the referee's given a penalty. That's another penalty to Leeds. It's putting them well into the Featherstone half. They're going to take this tap on the 30-metre mark. So again, it's this relentless yellow train coming towards the Featherstone defence, and they must be wondering when they're going to get a break at the moment. And it's a position that Featherstone haven't been in that much in these pre-season friendlies. Even against Wakefield, I don't think they had this relentless pressure, did they?
Not at all, Joe.
No, but this is exactly why we want a pre-season to the side like Leeds, so we can be truly tested by one of the sides who's some of the finest stars in Super League. The relentless pressure that they're putting on our line here, it's really going to put Rovers in good stead going into that first game against Halifax.
So the Rhinos swing the ball out towards that right-hand side. They're 10 metres out, but that's better defence from Rovers, keeping the Rhinos out in that corner. Ball swung left. There's another kick over the top by Sutcliffe. That one is taken by Rovers, and it's well taken as well. So Rovers now, how Rovers could do with a penalty just to release some of that pressure on them. This Rhinos defence is looking solid at the moment. Here's Ian Hardman. Rovers have got a player, Rhinos, sorry, have got a player down in back play. Referees allowing play to continue at the minute. Here is the last tackle then for Rovers. They're only on their own 30. So Matthew Wildy boots the ball. That ball's in the air. Taken on the full by Ryan Hall. Not the kick that Rovers will have wanted. They'll have wanted that ball to find the ground. And because it's on the full, Joe, because the Rhinos have taken it on the full, they are now starting. They're going to be on that first tackle, a metre inside their own half.
Unforgivable. They couldn't break out, and even more bad news for the Rovers as it's revealed the Leeds Rhinos player down on the floor is Jack Ormonroyd. A blow for both teams there. They couldn't have been a man on the park that either of the coaches would have wanted injured less.
You're right there, Joe. It's really bad to see Jack Ormonroyd down there, isn't it? And it went down almost immediately. It looks like I can't quite see what kind of injury he's got. The referee has stopped the game at the moment, so it's obviously severe enough to warrant that. And he's got quite a few medical people out there, probably from both sides, I'd imagine.
Looks like his knee is being tested at the moment by the physio, so serious injury, but just going back to that kick from Rovers, Joe, before the play was stopped, a disappointing kick straight down the throat of Ryan Hall, and that's probably the one player in this Leeds time you don't want taking the ball on the floor with open field in front of him.
I think, yeah, true. I think any player, you don't want to be, any of the backs of any team, you don't want to be kicking it straight into their arms, into the breadbasket. That's certainly, I don't think, what Matty Wildy will have intended when he placed that kick. And he'll be working on that, no doubt, as well. But you want to be hitting the ground, at least with those kicks, or turning the players around. You don't want to be putting it straight into their arms. As it was, we did field Ryan Hall, and he's been tackled at halfway point. But again, it's a further 5 tackles for Leeds in this attack. Just as Jack Ormonroyd leaves the field, he's been assisted off by 2 medical staff, and he's looking very gingerly as he's walking off the field. It's not a good sight to see. Let's hope, best wishes to Jack, and let's hope that he recovers from whatever it is very quickly indeed. And I think that would be both camps that will be wishing him that.
Yeah, I'm sure it will, and it's Brett Delaney who's replaced Jack Ormonroyd. It's not a bad replacement, Joe, is it?
No. Player with plenty of experience. He'll continue to pose a test for the Rovers, but Jack Ormonroyd, after the start he'd had to the game too, and after the talent he showed last week,
enough for play to continue. And here's Jones Buchanan again. Mitch Garber looks to be all right, though. He gets the ball away to Parcell. Parcell moves that ball on. It's taken well by Liam Sutcliffe, who I don't think was expecting that pass. Parcell now. Robbie Burrow. He puts that ball in the air towards the corner. How's Scott Turner under that? It's not gone to Turner. It's gone to Rovers. And Rovers defended that kick well. And they're now going to start, but they're pen deep in their own corner, Joseph.
well, there could have been. Brett was able, but composure, and Turner was able to come away with the ball. Now they're bringing it out with pace. It's Davies over on that far side, driving the ball in well. Another player who's competing for his spot with the acquisitions Rovers have made in those second row positions. It's all on for places today in this final pre-season friendly.
It is. We've had 20 minutes gone here in this first half, here at the very, very chilly Big Fella Stadium. Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds Rhinos 12. 2 tries from the Rhinos, 1 from Jack Ormonroyd, who has now left the field with an injury. Here's Ashton Golding now. And the Rhinos starting on the return of that kick again at just shy of halfway. Back into the Rovers half to go, but that's good defence. Robbie Burrow picks up the offload though. He scampers across field. That's a great hit from Rovers.
Chris Aluja there coming up out of the line and putting a big hit on there. Really good tackle. Just an interchange for Featherstone there as Darryl Griffin's left the field and Richard Moore's entered it.
So here are the Rhinos then on the Rovers 30. Rovers able to keep them out on that occasion. Richard Moore involved in that tackle. In fact, the Rhinos then 25 out. Into the Rovers 20 to go. That's a pass behind everybody though. The momentum's lost. Ashton Golding has to drop on that. And the Rhinos on the last tackle lost a lot of momentum there. And there's the kick from Sutcliffe. They're chasing it down himself. Where's Ian Hardman? Oh, Ian Hardman juggles it. It's going to be back to one for the Rhinos. Great tackle from Featherstone Rovers. Can't see who it was under the lights.
It was under a lot of pressure, was Ian Hardman there, wasn't he? And that came in. The ball's gone to ground now from Leeds, and Scott Turner gratefully picks it up. It was under a lot of pressure, was Ian Hardman. It was a high kick, and Leeds put at least 3 players there onto him, and he did jump for it, but the ball just bounced back out of his arms, and Featherstone have been let off there.
And here are Rovers now looking to work out from their own 20 again. It's Richard Moore with that drive.
And just talking about Richard Moore as he's entered the field, it is his 36th birthday before the Halifax game. It's on the 1st of February. So he definitely is one of the old timers of the team, but you wouldn't know it as Featherstone get a relieving penalty there.
And how Rovers will be grateful for that penalty. Struggling to break down that Rhinos defence at times there, Joe.
Yeah, definitely. Leeds have repeatedly been able to pin Rovers back in their half so far in the first period, but 2 balls on the pitch, holding up play here. That penalty's important. It gets Rovers into the Rhinos territory, and they've got a chance to mount an attack now.
Here's Anthony Thackeray then. Out the back door, through the hands it goes. That's met at pace there.
Rovers had men on the outside there. They should have made use of the ball out the back. Instead, went for the power play with Mariano, but he's not going to get through that many men, no matter what his strength's like.
So Rovers then inside the Rhinos 20. Carlisle from Martin Hart. Back goes right. That's an offload. Mariano again. Can't take that pass in. It's picked up by Walton, who puts the ball down, but it is going to be a knock on. Again, the chance goes begging. That's twice, Joe. In this opening 25 minutes, the Rovers were in a great position in that Rhinos 20, and both times the ball's been put to ground.
That occasion was different, though, Ben. Featherstone did look threatening. Mariano had been left one-on-one approaching that Rhinos line, but it was an unbelievable tackle from Kindhorst that forced him to spill the ball, and 1 possession back for Leeds from this scrum.
Joanne?
Yes, it was a great tackle there, wasn't it, from Kindhorst? It really dislodged the ball. It came in hard and fast onto Mariano. It looked to be a good move that was being built up with Walton supporting him. Ended up in Featherstone Rovers' first points of the evening. It wasn't to be, though, and I must admit that there's some of the tackles that Leeds Rhinos players are putting in on the Featherstone team. The boys will know that they've been in a game this first half, most definitely.
Jones Buchanan falls over dramatically. In fact, no, it's not. He's injured. That looks like it could be either a foot or a knee injury again.
Possibly could be a bit of cramp, the way that he was pulling his toe up there. So yeah, Hardman takes the ball. That was a high kick up into the air, but Hardman took it well that time. There was less of a chase and less of pressure from the Leeds players. Featherstone now bringing it away with Scott Turner.
25 metres out is Scott Turner, who plays the ball. And here now is Jason Walton. Plays that quick, good play the ball. That's a good break out of acting half for Rovers there. By Carlisle, and now Matthew Wildy waits. He'll swing that ball in field to Thackeray. Thackeray will take on that line.
They're just up so fast to the Leeds players, aren't they? They're not giving our halfbacks any room to manoeuvre. That's where we're struggling, Wildy and Thackeray. However, we got it out wide here to Turner, but Leeds cover quickly. Turner puts a kick in across the field. It's well fielded there by Briscoe, though. He takes it well. Thackeray tackles him. The Leeds bringing it away 15 metres away from their own line with Ash Goulding.
Interesting choice by Scott Turner. It wasn't actually a bad kick. Certainly put the Rhinos in the pressure and pin them back. And if Rovers can get a good defensive set here, who knows?
Featherstone had looked promising there as they swung the ball out to the right, but Walton's pass was just that little bit behind Turner, which meant he wasn't able to keep at full speed.
Oh, ouch. What a hit by Richard.
Featherstone conceding a penalty here, and Leeds have taken the quick tap, but the referee, Chris Kendall's going to call them back. And Leeds are going to have yet another chance here in Featherstone territory from the penalty kick.
Rovers fans don't like that decision one little bit there. It was certainly an aggressive challenge, I would say, by Richard Moore. But Mr. Kendall wasn't happy with that one at all.
Well, Richard Moore, for the second week in a row, he's playing one of his former clubs, Leeds, his boyhood club of course, and he's certainly not holding back so far.
Not at all. So the Rhinos then are back in the Rovers 30. Robbie Burrow moves that ball on. Through the hands again. Here's Kindhorst. Just shy of the 20 now. Leeds Rhinos. 12 metres in from the left-hand touchline. Robbie Burrow attacks in half-back. He'll swing that ball in field. To Brett Delaney now. On for the injured Jack Ormondroyd. And here come the Rhinos. And that's another good charge down the middle. But Rovers defence there on that occasion able to match up to it. 5 metres shy of the Rovers line, just to the right of the uprights. Robbie Burrow again, shows it once. Drops a pass off to Ablett. Ablett spins and gets the ball away. And the Rhinos over again, they're not. It's great defence from Featherstone Rovers to keep the Rhinos out, but the Rhinos are looking dangerous again. The ball swung right, it's Robbie Burrow. He'll put a kick across field. That's taken by Ashton Golding. Great defence from Featherstone Rovers to keep Ashton Golding out right under the left-hand upright, or the right-hand upright as you're looking down there. Rovers can take half from that, Joanne.
Yeah, it's turnover, isn't it? So Rovers bringing it away from their own line. Credit goes out to the Featherstone right-hand defence there, namely Jason Walton, who came in with that tackle just before that kick was put in on the last and stopped Leeds going, progressing further out wide there. So Featherstone making some metres forward here.
That's a great drive in from Richard Moore. And he's got the ball away as well to Kyron Johnson. Johnson away from 2 and gets into the Rhinos half. Richard Moore certainly, I think, could end up being a crowd favourite here. As Wilder swings the ball out to Walton to Turner. Turner steps inside 2. But that covering defence is superb from the Rhinos.
The ball just going behind Turner again there. So either Turner's overrunning. The kicks come up though. It's high in the air. I think Featherstone have got the ball under, but Ash Golding's managed to hang on to the Featherstone player who took the ball. Can't quite see who it is because he's under 3 Leeds players. So Leeds going to take the tap on the
Kyle
10 metre
Briggs
line.
who took that ball.
Kyle Briggs just entered the field.
I never even saw Kyle Briggs come on, and a penalty for Rovers. 10 metres out from the Rhinos line for an incorrect play the ball. So Rovers will take that any day of the week.
Don't see many of them do on their own 10 metre line, but obviously Mr. Kendall's seeing something. Bostock driving towards the post, just 2 metres away from that line. He's got the ball away, but the referee's giving another penalty. He's actually said that the ball was stolen in the tackle.
Rovers then with a great opportunity here for the first points of the afternoon. We've got 10 minutes left here. The ball swung out left with Thackeray. Thackeray to Moore. Moore's had a great influence since he's come onto the pitch.
So 5 metres away from the line, Featherstone Rovers on that left-hand side. The ball comes back into the middle. Kyle Briggs showing the ball and ducking and diving, gets to the 10 metre line. The ball comes out to the right again to Frankie Mariano, who drives it towards the sticks. He's 2 metres away.
5 metres to the left, right to the uprights, Frankie Mariano.
So the ball's played, it goes off to the left. Jamie Jones Buchanan goes for the intercept. He's actually classed as offside by the referee. Penalty to Featherstone Rovers in short succession, and the ball's taken quickly.
Keil Carlisle trying to sneak a quick run from a quick tap. Rhinos defence able to hold him up. Here's Ian Hardman now. Rovers attacking down that left-hand channel. Thackeray now drops the ball off to Moore again. Moore goes left. Beats one, is still going. Moore takes some pushing down. He's 5 meters away from that Rhinos line. 5 in from the left-hand touchline. It's Van Thackeray again now. Thackeray sees a gap. Tries to get through it, but the Rhinos defence holding firm. And there's another, oh no! A penalty, a penalty for the Rhinos now.
Yeah,
incorrect play the ball.
Yeah, Anthony Thackeray said threw it between his legs. It did come out very quickly, did the ball, I must admit there. And there was a suspicion of something going on. Referee's a lot closer to it than us, and it seems as though it was an incorrect play of the ball, but how disappointing an end is that to a quite a bit of sustained pressure that Featherstone haven't had in this game.
Featherstone had been looking threatening in that right-hand channel where Wildy's very much running the show. You can see him direct his troops, but I think now Briggs has come onto the field. Carlisle's still in the hooking role, and with Thackeray still on the field, it could be a case of too many cooks.
It could indeed, and here are the Rhinos, just short of their own 40 now. Great spell of pressure from the Rovers, but credit the Rhinos defence who were able to hold out. And they are now 5 meters short of halfway. The scoop from Acting halfback gets them in, but Rovers again penalised, this time for not being square. Mr. Kendall certainly enforcing the rules this evening.
Featherstone need to make sure that they're dominant in the tackle to give them time to get the players back, and then they'll be square at marker. There's no need to be prattling about in the ruck area if we can be dominant in the collision. At the moment, though, Leeds are getting the roll on, they're getting the momentum.
And on the back of those two penalties, the Rhinos are in the Rovers 10 again now. But good defence. Ball swung left again. Here's Sutcliffe through, finds Burrow. Burrow shows it to Ablett, shows it again, goes himself. Tries to go through a gap. He showed it to everybody then, but ended up taking the tackle himself. And here are the Rhinos now. That's a good break. Ash Hanley is on for Leeds. The ball swung in field. That's a step away from two. That's a great try from the Leeds Rhinos, from Liam Sutcliffe. Able to dance around 2 or 3 players and go over just to the left of the uprights. A superb try for Leeds, and with 6 minutes left, it's Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds 16, and I fancy this will be converted. Joe.
Well, Ben, I was all set to pay credit to Jason Walton for the way he tracked the run of Rob Burrow and latched hold of him as he skipped through the line. But then the ball's brought inside, and for me, one of the most talented young halfbacks in Super League has fooled the entire Rovers defence as he's cut back in, skipped round a couple of players and found his way over just to the left of the sticks. It was a clever bit of play, but Featherstone need to be doing better than that. Is it a case of the interchanges have come in, players aren't sure where their positioning needs to be in accordance with each other? Is that another case of the pre-season? But things need to be getting tighter now. This is our final game before the competitive fixtures start to come.
Yeah, and I think you would perhaps say that this is the least impressive we've been. I know we're up against some tough opposition, but like you say, Joe, it is important that we're getting these things together, ready for Halifax a week on Sunday, and maybe it's just given the Featherstone lads a bit of a sense check as this performance tonight, and giving them lots to look at. Be interesting to see what John Sharp's post-match reaction will be. I know we've got another half to go in this game, but it would be interesting to see what he thought to this first half, because it's looked a little bit disjointed from my point of view.
There's been plenty of good in there, but there are reasons for worry. And at this stage of pre-season, you're looking for being closer to the finished article, particularly when you've got one of your major rivals in that first hit out.
No arguments there, and here are the Rhinos then. The try was converted by Sutcliffe, so it's 18-0. We've got 4 left in the first half. Been a good performance from the Rhinos. Rovers, like Joanne says, a bit disjointed. What a tackle that was from Kyle Briggs. A superb tackle.
It was a copybook tackle, wasn't it? Round the legs, down low. Stopped him in his tracks.
It was on Cuthbertson, but Robbie Burrow puts that ball in the air again. Ian Hardman underneath it. He'll take those all day. No one within 15 metres of him for him to take that kick. And when there's no pressure on Ian Hardman, he'll take that every time.
Yeah, so Featherstone coming away with the ball. 30-metre, their own 30-metre line.
Ball's worked right, and Rovers then. That's a good drive in.
Scott Turner coming into the middle of the field, fancying a bit of action. It must be cold out on those wings tonight.
Thackeray then moves the ball out. Walton looked for the offload, but sensibly held on. Cuthbertson in that tackle. Alongside Brett Delaney. Here's Bostock now. Gets Rovers over the 40. Tries to offload to Briggs. The offload was on, to be fair. If the pass, and if Briggs could have taken it, it was in the clear, Joanne.
It was just a little bit high, wasn't it, that pass there from Bostock to Briggs. Briggs was there, he was supporting well. You know, if, like you say, if that pass had just been a fraction lower, enabling Briggs to take it, the game was on there, wasn't it? And Rovers would have been looking to race away. As it is, Leeds have got the put in at the scrum. In their own half, 35 metres away from their own line, just waiting for the scrum to set. Just saying as well, there's some very fine drizzle coming down here tonight. It's probably affecting conditions a little bit. So as well as it being bitterly, bitterly cold, we've got some very fine rain, which could affect handling.
Brett Delaney's come off for Rhinos. On comes Josh Walters, another player who Rovers will know well from the spell he had here in the playoffs at the end of last season. He'll be looking to make a point to Brian McDermott, saying, I want to place in this Leeds team.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, the close link between these two clubs, we've seen players that we saw in blue and white last year, aren't we, out here on the pitch. As Leeds back up there, they've made the metres forward. It's the last tackle. They're about 12 metres away from the Featherstone Rovers line.
Burrow takes that pass behind him. He puts a good crossfield kick in, though. What a take from Turner. Penalty for Leeds.
All I can think there, it was difficult to see down on that left-hand side. The Leeds left-hand side was that there was an obstruction. Yes, so there was obstruction, which gave the way clear for Scott Turner to take that ball. So Featherstone Rovers player obstructed Leeds from getting to it. So unfortunately, the last minute, 51 seconds of this half looks to be Leeds, and they might be looking to further extend this lead. 3 metres away from the Featherstone line.
So the Rhinos then, like Joanne says, 3 metres short from the acting halfback. The ball's swung right. That's a drop-off pass there from Sutcliffe.
Oh, yes.
That's a great hit. Ouch. I felt that from here.
Richard Moore and Ashton Golding, a bit of a mismatch in size there, but it was a great hit. He didn't see it coming because he was waiting for the pass. Took him completely by surprise.
So the Rhinos then hammering on this Rovers door, but the defence holding firm. Here's the last tackle, says the referee.
If they can keep them out here, this will be really pleasing for John Sharp, because we'll be looking at our goal line defence and what it's capable of.
And it looks like Rovers are going to keep them out. Look at that defence. 4 in the tackle. The ball swung out from first receiver. Not even a chance to even think about getting a kick away. That's great defence, Joanne.
It is, and I was just saying, wasn't it, about it being a real coach pleaser, that it's Leeds throwing everything but the kitchen sink at Featherstone, and Featherstone defence on that line, being tight, working together, working in partnership with one another to keep those out. And that Richard Moore hit on Ashton Goulding, it's those kind of things that spur you on as a fellow player to put that little bit extra in when you see teammates doing that. So Featherstone with the ball, with Richard Moore actually, and it comes out to this and Jason Walton's put the ball on the floor. I was just going to say, it's come out to the the right-hand side, Jason Walton putting the ball to the ground. It wasn't a great pass. He sort of like was twisting to receive it, and it's not how we wanted to end the half. We would have preferred to have had the ball in hand. It's going to be a scrum. The scoreboard clock is actually saying 0, but the halftime hoot has not gone yet.
3 tries from the Rhinos in this first half. Going to Jack Ormondroyd, Matty Purcell and Liam Sutcliffe, who converted all 3. So it's an 18-0 lead. The Rhinos are going to have the final possession of the half. And Rovers again will be wanting to keep them out. Here's Ashton Golding. He's trying to dance his way through, but well met by Rovers. And there is that half-time whistle. No hooter.
No hooter.
So half-time whistle. It's been a tough first half for Featherstone Rovers, Joanne. There's been a lot of strong play from the Leeds Rhinos. 3 good tries scored from their point of view. But also
both sides started off fairly evenly balanced, didn't they? The Rovers were looking good in their sets of 6 in attack, and so were Leeds Rhinos. However, that Jack Ormondroyd try sort of broke the deadlock at 6 minutes. It was quite an early one, and that sort of set the scene then for Leeds going forward. And at times Featherstone have struggled to handle Leeds, which you would expect, you know, with the differences between the 2 competitions, and Leeds do have some very strong players. But I think, as Joe alluded to earlier, Featherstone have also showed some spark as well. So it's not all been negative, and the scoreline's probably fair enough. I think it's a fair reflection of the way the half's gone, but there's certainly been some things that Featherstone can take away from this half. There's also some things that I think they will want to work on to take away as well, and it's all about improving, isn't it, and finding out where your chinks in your armour are.
Where have Rovers looked good in this first half, Joe?
Well, coming forward with the ball, I've really liked Wildy's organisation, and there's been some points defending on the second phase. Carl Ablett, in this Leeds team, since Keith Senior retired, he has been the master of the offload, and he got one away to Mitch Garber over on his left-hand side. Jason Walton wrapped him up beautifully. I think this game's shown the value of playing an elite side as your final pre-season game. It's one final big test to show you any of the little issues in your game that you need to straighten out in your final week's preparation. For me, coming on in the second half, there's 3 players who need to stake their name for a place. In the Leeds shirts, Corey Aston's got to come on, and then there's Jordan Baldwinson. In a Rovers shirt, Josh Hardcastle's got his opportunity. He was the outstanding player at the start of pre-season. Can he be the outstanding player at the end of pre-season?
We're going to see lots of changes going into this second half. You'd expect from Leeds, I'd expect from both coaches, more from Leeds maybe. The former Rovers players, you look at the likes of Jordan Baldwinson, Corey Aston, you know, people like that, they're going to want to make a point to Brian McDermott, saying, look, we've been down here for 2 years. Give us a chance in this Leeds team, please.
Oh, there's a lot. When you look at that bench and some of the first team players as well, there's a lot that will be wanting to put their hands up, and they're wanting to be impressing Brian McDermott. Similarly, though, there's going to be players in the Featherstone Rovers team that are doing the same to John Sharp. So, as Joe just said, Josh Hardcastle will be looking at that. Sam Day, people like that are knocking on the periphery. They'll be putting their hands up saying, look, we're good enough, John. Give us a chance. We've not seen John Davis yet, have we? Neither out on the field, out of the interchanges. So I think he's only used 3, hasn't he? We've not seen we've not seen Davis, we've not seen Hardcastle, we've not seen Sam Day yet. So those are to come in the second half. So he's sparing those at the moment. Leeds have got quite a number of interchanges, haven't they, to choose from? I think there's 8 or 9 down there. So they've going to do a lot more rotation at Leeds compared to the Featherstone Rovers, which you would expect as Featherstone come nearer to their first game of the season. You're wanting to get your final 30, well, your final 17 sorted, aren't you?
Have we got any players there who've got, or would you say they've done enough to get their place in that first team next week.
I think that's for John Sharp to answer in the press conference afterwards, not for me, I'm not the coach.
Okay, it is half time then here at the Big Fella Stadium. It's Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds Rhinos 18.
What is the sentence like?
Welcome back to the second half here at the Big Fella Stadium on a cold winter January evening in Featherstone. It's Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds Rhinos 18. Rovers are out ready for the second half. I can see at least one change has been made with the introduction of John Davis at half time. Not sure yet who's gone off, but John Davis is going to get a chance, Joanne.
Yes, he is. We were saying that he'd not been used yet, didn't we? And he's going to be used now. So yes, the Rovers lads are keeping warm out there. Leeds are finally out on the pitch. Probably feeling the cold just as they come out of those nice warm changing rooms. Here on the gantry, we've all lost the feeling of our fingers, extremities you want to describe.
It's going to be the Rhinos who will get first use of the ball in this second half. Kyron Johnson, who's kicking off. Rhinos playing downhill in the second half towards the scoreboard. It's Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds Rhinos 18. Sorry, I thought you were going to say something. Did you sound like you were?
I'm just... No. It's the ball's gone to Leeds. The kickoff has come and Leeds bringing it up now. Over their own 40-metre line. They'll be looking to get into the Featherstone Rovers half quickly.
And here is Josh Walters. Recognisable from his hairdo, and two because he was down here in the playoffs last season. He plays that ball. The ball is worked right then, down this right-hand edge. But great defence from the Rovers. Johnny Davis involved in that tackle. And here is a drive in there from one of the big men. Big unit, it's Mitch Garber. It gets into inside the Rovers 40. And the ball comes right again. And there's a kick from Sutcliffe. Bounces once and Ian Hardman says, OK, I'll have that one. A good chase though from Leeds, so Hardman not really made any metres there. And here are Rovers now looking to work out from their own 10-metre area. A half break there on that right-hand side. From Scott Turner. And here's Rovers now then. I think it's Jason Walton. Richard Moore gets the offload away. Rovers alert that time. Here's Ian Hardman. Looks to offload and does to Briggs. Thackeray, that's backwards, but Rovers make a hash of it. The referee said a Rhinos player got a hand to that. So Rovers will breathe a sigh of relief. They're going to get scrummed down head and feet 35 metres out from the Rovers line.
Yeah, it came from the Richard Moore offload, which is a good offload. The rest of the Featherstone Rovers players then were trying to keep the ball alive and a little bit panicky again. The ball eventually came to ground, but it had been patted in between it coming to John Davis. So that's why Featherstone Rovers, it was patted by a Leeds Rhinos player. And it's why it's come to Featherstone Rovers in the form of a scrum. So Featherstone coming up to their own 40-metre line with Ian Hardman. Keil Carlisle saying, come on, ref, please let us play the button with the ball. Bounces off one, goes over that halfway line into the Leeds half and gets tackled. Keil Carlisle picks the ball up, goes across to Kyle Briggs, and then it goes further out. And I think it's Frankie Mariano there has been wrapped up by 4 Leeds players. So they certainly keep an eye on him, but he managed to go forward a few more metres as Leeds players are tussling with him and the ball's played, and Anthony Thackeray puts a bit of a zip into the line. Gets tackled 30 metres away from that Leeds line. A couple of tackles left in this set yet. Goes out to Kyle Briggs, but he juggles with the ball and puts it to ground. Possibly could blame the cold weather on that, but you could see that the move was building up there, wasn't it, Joe?
I think it's a case of slippy ball handling conditions, but also Kyle Briggs was already setting up in his mind what he was going to do with the ball there. It's what you teach lads from a junior level. You've got to catch the thing first before you can think about where you're going to pass it.
Very good point there. And so the Rhinos have head and feet at the scrum, 25 metres out. And they're going to drive that ball in now, but good defence from Rackle. Briggs is one of the men in. And here's Mitch Garbutt. So the Rhinos then, just shy of halfway. That's run across. They've put the ball down now. First knock on is for Leeds. So it's going to be head and feet to Rovers, 5 metres inside the Rhinos half, and an opportunity now to put some pressure on and see if we can get some points.
Well, a bar of soap there for both teams, clearly, but unfortunately, Featherstone weren't able to play on there because Andy Bostock on the break, no one's got to catch him.
He is Anthony Thackeray now. That's great, that. Look at that defence, though, from the Rhinos. Able to push Chris Aluja back.
Yeah, Aluja thought he was going to power forward there, but 4 in on that tackle from Leeds. They're as keen as mustard, aren't they, this Leeds defence? And Featherstone really up against a test this evening.
Here's Andy Bostock. From a Leeds point of view, you'd be thinking he wants to keep a nil, wouldn't you?
Oh, certainly, yeah. That'll have been the mantra from Brian McDermott, I'm sure, to keep a clean team sheet. But Featherstone coming out on that right-hand edge now.
Here's Ian Hardman. 10 metres out, 3 in from touch. Ball swung in field, through the hands it goes. Here's Richard Moore. Goes back where he came from, but he's tackled well. The Rovers now 15 out, just to the right of the uprights. Through the hands it goes. Here's Thackeray. He'll put a kick over the top. That's well taken. Rovers there penalised. Yeah. Tackled in the air there. Unfortunately, Rovers a little bit too eager in the tackle to get to the man. And that is probably right. And with 5 gone in the second half, it's still Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds Rhinos 18, Joanne.
And it's very important to get that timing right when a kick comes through like that. It's important to just catch them just as they land and touch that toe on the ground. That didn't happen there. The Leeds player was tackled quite clearly in the air. So Leeds got a penalty. They're bringing it away 30 metres away from their own line. Featherstone will be looking for a good set of 6 to keep Leeds penned back, and that's good tackling there by John Davis. He always brings an extra added element of strength into your defensive line, does John Davis. He's a real workhorse, isn't he? And he's in the tackle again there. He never takes a step back when it comes to tackling and defence, and he's the kind of player you always want on your team.
He is indeed, and here are the Rhinos on halfway then with Robbie Burrow. He drops a pass off to Josh Walters. 5 inside the Rovers half. As on comes Brett Delaney again. There's the kick. It's well taken though by Ian Hardman. Hardman does well. He gets up to the Rovers 20.
Much better defensive display from Rovers there. And there you are, the rewarded away penalty for their efforts. Leeds not having the opportunity to pin Featherstone back in their own 10 penalty on the 20-metre line. They're going to be able to kick out, get just shy of halfway, you'd expect, with the kick. It's more like it's a better position for them to spring their attack.
They are going to start just inside their own 40 Rovers.
And one thing I would say is that quite a few of the Featherstone fans have been complaining about the slowing of the play of the ball. And that seemed to be what Wakefield Trinity were doing last week as well. I think it is a Super League thing, isn't it, that they do slow that play of the ball. I think in the Championship, often the play of the ball is often quicker. And they don't go for as much of the wrestling on the floor that the Super League players do.
A lot of Super League coaches would probably argue the total opposite to that point, but I take it, and I agree with you to an extent. But here are Rovers then. They're inside the Rhinos half. Here's Andy Bostock, just inside the Rhinos 40.
No.
He's offloaded the ball, but no, it's been ripped, says the referee. 2 on 1.
I'm not sure about that one. Knowing Andy Bostock, I think he was looking for the offload, and I think it was a bit of a loose carry. So we're fortunate to get the penalty of Featherstone there. As it happens, they would have got the ball back because Rhinos had knocked it on as well. There's a double substitution occurring down below for Featherstone,
Cooper,
with Bostock and Moore going off, and Luke Cooper and Darryl Griffin replacing them. So Anthony Thackeray is going to take this kick. This penalty kick, it lands on the 20-metre line, so about 23 metres away from the Leeds line. So Featherstone going to be taking it in.
It's Luke Cooper with that first drive. And here are Rovers now then. Briggs, through the hands it goes. Not Briggs, sorry, Wilder. Here's Davis now. In the 20 Rovers. Keil Carlisle waits. Here's Darryl Griffin on the charge. Gets Rovers just shy of the Rhinos 10, just about a couple of metres to the left of the uprights. Ball is swung left. Thackeray finds Chris Aluja on the charge. Tries to get through, tries to offload to Briggs. Referee says backwards.
I'm not sure about that
neither am I.
But we'll take it. 5 metres away from the line.
Carlisle gets it to Cooper. Cooper offloads to Carlisle again, who's wrapped up. Kyle Briggs moves in, attacks in half-back.
So last tackle is this one.
So it's Anthony Thackeray. Puts the kick through.
Oh.
It's well wrapped up, though, by Ashton Golding. And Golding gets away from 2 or 3 tackles. Makes 15 metres. A disappointing kick. And, well, say a disappointing kick, a disappointing way to defend the kick.
Yeah, I mean, Featherstone was absolutely trying everything there, and Leeds just have the answer to it every time. Whatever question that Featherstone are asking of the Leeds defence, Leeds have got the answer, and Featherstone are finding it almost impenetrable tonight.
Since he's come onto the field, Ben, we've seen Luke Cooper take 2 drives in his first set in attack, and then that's his 3rd tackle in this first defensive set for him. I think he's made a mistake early doors, letting Norman Royd score that first try for Leeds, but he's had an impressive pre-season so far. Featherstone here earning another penalty to break them out of their deep defensive area. But Luke Cooper's seen this as a final opportunity to play his place in the side.
I was thinking exactly the same there, Joe, because he did make that mistake, didn't he? I think he made a couple of early mistakes, actually, and one of them leading to the Jack Ormonroyd try, and he was brought off pretty soon afterwards, wasn't he? Not had much game time in the game at that point. I think 10 minutes, was it, when he was brought off the field? So, obviously, he's taken that on board and he's wanting to really make amends for it. And it's quite uncharacteristic as well for Luke Cooper to make those kinds of mistakes. So yeah, it's perhaps done him good just to have some time on the bench just to reflect on that.
Out to players as well, Joe, that yes, if you make mistakes, it is only pre-season, but we've got a hungry squad here. If you make mistakes, then players are there's someone just as good who can come in and take your place.
That is the value of competition, Ben. It's a luxury that Featherstone didn't have last year. There's times when John Sharp spoke about he was scrambling for 12 players at a time at training sessions.
Here's the last tackle then for Rovers. Anthony Thackeray puts a kick towards the sticks. That's chased, but that's better from Featherstone. Completing the tackle, allowing the player to take the ball. It was Ian Hardman. Completed the tackle right on the Rhinos try line. That was much better.
Came off the side of his boot there, Anthony Thackeray, with that kick. It was quite a clever kick. At first I thought there was none of the Featherstone Rovers players aware of what he'd done, but Ian Hardman was. He had to skirt around the referee to get to the ball, so Ash Goulding had a little bit more time than was envisaged firstly. But he's certainly followed it up, that tackle onto Ash Goulding, very well, and Leeds having to bring it away from the own line. They've made it up towards the 40-metre line now.
Robbie Burrow is coming off for the Rhinos.
And the kick comes in there, and Scott Turner's going to collect it for Featherstone on his own 20. So now he's bringing it forward. He's gone 10 metres, 12 metres further forward. Rovers out on that right-hand side, and he plays the ball. Jason Walton, who is tackled by 3 Leeds players. Ball comes out to right, and not making much headway there. I think that was Frankie Mariano that was taking it in further over the 40-metre line. The last couple of tackles not made much. Mariano gets to his feet a little bit gingerly. The ball now to Luke Cooper from Anthony Thackeray, makes it to halfway. Got 2 tackles left in this set. And the ball then goes to Tag. Tag puts a little bit of spurt of pressure on. Hardcastle's just entered the field as well. It's the last tackle. Anthony Thackeray puts it up in the air. It comes over to left-hand side, but the ball's taken easily there by Briscoe. And Leeds come away with the ball. So it was a good set of 6 there by Featherstone in the end. They've made quite a few metres forward. But yeah, we've seen Josh Hardcastle come onto the field for Featherstone. Not sure who he replaced. Mariano, yeah, was saying he looked a little bit, got to play the ball gingerly, did Mariano, in the centre of the field earlier. So whether he's got a little bit of a niggle or is, I don't know, feeling it out there, is being replaced by Josh Hardcastle.
We've had 15 minutes here in the second half here at the Big Fella Stadium. It's as you were at half time. It's Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds Rhinos 18. The Rhinos playing down the slope, Joseph, and Rovers can take a lot from the way they started this second half, because they are certainly matching up to Rhinos at times.
They definitely are, and that's coming from the set completion, because Leeds are trying to do just as much tackling as Featherstone. It's taking some of the heat off this Rovers side, and it's giving chance for their pack to then compete in the challenge with that added energy that they have. The likes of Darryl Griffin isn't going to be able to go up against Mitch Garber if he's trying to do twice the work. There's more work here, does. They cough up possession there to Leeds. And it's going to be the Rhinos now with the ball on the Featherstone 40.
Keil Carlisle has been withdrawn and Sam Day has come on for Rovers.
Yeah, it's a penalty to Leeds there. So the ball went behind the Featherstone attacking line. The pass went behind the line. It went onto the ground. So it was a race between Featherstone and Leeds players to get to that ball. And one of our players pulled the Leeds player back. That's why the penalty's gone to Leeds. So here they are, 10 metres away from the Featherstone line. Probably the first attack of this second half for Leeds in this area. So we'll see what the Featherstone defence will do as Sutcliffe brings it in and gets tackled on the 10-metre line.
Jordan Baldwinson introduced for Leeds. Here's a scoop from that's in half. Rovers able to keep them out on that occasion. Baldwinson waits under sticks. It goes from that's in half. But good defence from Featherstone Rovers.
I think the ball could have been lost there as well. I think the referee's just going to check with his touch judge just to see if he's got any clue of how that came out.
It's a knock on from Rhinos.
Yeah, so that was great defence because Liam Sutcliffe looked all for scoring there. He did a little bit of a dummy, sold a dummy and looked to be going over the line, but the Featherstone Rovers line defences, we talked about it at the end of that first half, being solid and keeping Liam Sutcliffe out, and he obviously went to put that ball down over the line. He was so close and lost it in the tackle, so it's a Featherstone Rovers scrum on their own 10-metre line. Yeah, Rovers will take that. A great defensive effort. We've had 17 minutes of this second half. It's still Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds Rhinos 18. And Rovers just working out at their own 20 now, and that's a good drive in from Josh Hardcastle. And to say that it's 17 minutes of this second half gone, to keep Leeds Rhinos scoreless is just exactly the answer that John Sharp will have been wanting Featherstone Rovers to come up with, the response. Featherstone now with the ball, 5 metres short of halfway with Luke Cooper. Ball comes Sam Day in at acting dummy half. It goes out to Jason Walton, who puts a kick in. I think it might have gone out on the full, though. I was surprised that Jason Walton was putting that kick in then. I'm not sure if he is a kicker, but I'd say not. Full.
Anthony.
Sorry, I was just going to say Leeds Rhinos are just playing the ball there on the halfway line.
It's been withdrawn for Featherstone Rovers, and I think it's Sam Day who came on.
Sam Day's definitely on the field decades ago.
Not sure who's come on then for Anthony Thackeray. But here are the Rhinos now. It's Jimmy Kinehorst, I think. Say something. Jordan Baldwinson doesn't look the part in that blue and yellow for me.
he's a Leeds lad. He'd disagree with you there, even though he still loves playing for Featherstone. I think he's a Leeds lad, and he's very proud to wear the blue and yellow.
Here's Ryan Hall and on the charge for the Rhinos, trying to get over the line. He's held up 5 metres short.
Here's that tackle.
Here's Sutcliffe. He sees a gap. He tries to go for it.
It's the last tackle, so he's going to get wrapped up here. So excellent Featherstone Rovers defence yet again. This must be pleasing John Sharp. Must this defensive effort.
Comes Jordan Lilly for Leeds Rhinos. Off comes Ryan Hall. So the Rhinos ringing the change at the moment. Great defensive effort, though. To say something, John, this second half, especially as we move into the last quarter, the Rovers line defence, especially, has been superb at times.
It's been very good, hasn't it? I mean, obviously Leeds are doing a bit of rotational stuff at the moment in this second half. So you would, their attack's perhaps not quite as seamless as it was in the first half. However, they've still got people like Liam Sutcliffe who can create things out of nothing, and he has been the main threat and danger on that line, and the Featherstone Rovers defence have been up to it, and the ball's being kept alive by Featherstone here. They're on their own 40-metre line. And it's Sam Day with his own little shimmy there from dummy half.
So Rovers then, on the last tackle, Briggs puts the kick in, drills it along the floor, he finds touch, just outside the Rhinos 20, Rovers will take that one. So it's going to be a scrum down, head and feed to the Leeds Rhinos, just outside their own 20, and we've just moved into the last quarter, and it's as you were at half-time, and conditions maybe playing a part at times.
I don't know, I think early on in the second half, there was a little bit of sort of like wet ball syndrome, wasn't there? Slippery ball out there and a couple of passes going to ground and juggling with the ball. I think that's sorted itself out now as the players have got warm again and can see the steam coming off the scrum there in the floodlights. It's quite poetic out there almost. But yeah, I think they've sorted themselves out in terms of errors, and I'm not sure if the rain stopped as well. It doesn't look to be as wet out there.
So here are the Rhinos and just working up towards halfway. But good defence from Featherstone Rovers again. On halfway then the Rhinos go left. That's a good drive in there from Anthony Mullally. A player that he spent a spell down here, of course, last year at Featherstone. And that's a good drive in. We've also got Mikolai Alechki on for the Rhinos. Here's Jordan Lilly, though. Only had one game down here for Featherstone, did Jordan Lilly last year, but it was certainly a memorable one.
That drop goal.
That drop goal indeed. And here's Ian Hardman now, off the back of that kick. A good chase it was from the Rhinos. But Rovers then, penned on their own 10-metre line. How they wouldn't mind a penalty right now. The Rovers just working through the tackles. Struggling to break down this solid wall of blue and yellow.
An injury down there to a Featherstone Rovers player. That's not what we're wanting to see tonight at all. Is it Frankie Marriott? No, he's off the field, isn't it? It's somebody with dark hair. Can't see because the physio's looking at them.
That narrows it down.
Well, it does. There's not many with dark hair out there, is there? It's Chris Aluja. Yeah, I was going down the team sheet there to see who's got dark hair apart from Jason Walton that's on the field, and from the powers of deduction. No. From the powers of deduction, it's Aluja.
It'd definitely be disappointing to lose Aluja. You feel he was incredibly impressive when he came on in that second half last week against Wakefield. I feel in this game, Joe, we were talking at half time about how he springs up out of the line on occasions to cut out moves from this Leeds side so far in the match. And for me, he's a big part of why they haven't had much success down this right side, and all their moves which have threatened the Rovers team have been in the left-hand side. Chris Aluja, though, also the archetypal centre. He's a man who can pass with the ball, playing his winger so well. He showed that last week. But he's a forceful runner, not afraid of going in against the big men, which is a challenge that has met him this week.
as well. I mean, hopefully Lucha is back on his feet. Fortunately, it does look to be okay. But what Rovers will want to avoid more than anything is a repeat of what happened to Matty Wildey last year in this very same game.
Yeah, I mean, Billy Mallinson's just indicated that Aluja is going to have to leave the field. He's walking off unaided, though, so that's good. I think it could be a bit of concussion, possibly, maybe, or the way that they were looking at him was certainly around the head and neck area, but he's walking off unaided, which is good to see. Looks a little bit groggy. Hopefully just a very temporary thing. Richard Moore's the guy who's going to replace him, so he comes onto the field. So Featherstone back as we were, 20 metres away from the line. John Davis has taken it forward, and Sam Day then fancies a little scurry, and he's wrapped up by 4 Leeds players who are in on the tackle, and it's the last tackle now. So Featherstone only got to 30 metres, and it's Ian Hardman who puts the kick in on the last, and that goes straight down the throat of Ash Golding. Not the greatest kick from Hardman. It had the distance on it, but certainly not the position.
Not who you'd want to be kicking on your last tackle when you're only 25 metres out from your own line, Joe.
No, you feel with the injury breaking up the play there, Featherstone weren't set in a structure to go forward with the ball, and on the last tackle they were just looking for anyone to send it. Kicking options though have been Ian Hardman and Jason Moulton. We've got halfbacks out there on the field. We need to start finding them on the final tackle.
We've also got Michael Knowles as well, of course, who can kick a ball. Here are the Rhinos then on the Rovers 20. It's a good drive in there. It's Anthony Mullally on the last tackle now. So Jones Buchanan finds Lilly. He'll put a kick in behind. It's going to run dead. It's a dropout. Rovers have to knock it dead. And that, Joe, is the first time really we've seen a kick in behind like that in this second half from the Rhinos that's really caused a problem for Featherstone Rovers.
Yeah, it was definitely a dangerous one in behind the line, and Leeds players were going to get there. It was a smart move from Ian Hardman because Kyron Johnson was hesitant over on this near side. Ian Hardman, though, takes no chances, puts it out, gives Featherstone a chance to reset, and now it looks like Darryl Griffin is in front of the posts. What might perhaps be a bit of an opportune moment to allow Featherstone to regather their thoughts and get set for what's going to be a big defensive set.
He is okay. It just gives the Rovers a chance as well, just to catch the breath a bit, get some air in the lungs, because it's this defensive effort, the way they're playing, it's taking a lot out of them. And with moving into the last quarter of an hour, though, it's still 18-0. So
it's been a good test, though, hasn't it, for the Featherstone? Certainly the defence. After going behind 18-0, there's not been a score since 35 minutes. So, and we've got 15 minutes left of the game. So that, you know, it's been a good defensive set from Featherstone, and we will ask John Sharp about that after the game and whether he's pleased with it. I'm sure that he will be.
Absolutely, and here are the Rhinos now. The other thing to think about as well, I know a lot of people say it's not had an effect, as Jones Buchanan drives that ball in as well. I'll come to it in a minute. The Rhinos are hammering on this Rovers door. Looks to be a bit of an untidy play of the ball there. But that's a good drive in. I can't see who it is. Good defence on Rovers, right on the sticks. And the ball's work right now. As here's Ashton Golding.
That's the last tackle. So Leeds mucking up on the last tackle as well on several occasions in this game. As well as Featherstone, at least we are getting our kick away. Leeds have been caught in possession on the last tackle quite a number of occasions in this match. And they did there with Ash Golding. He wasn't really going, and it wasn't a power play as such. I think they just made a mistake. So here we go with John Davis. He's made it up to the 30 metre. He's knocked on, I do believe, though, because he was looking to offload. There was John Davis. And the Leeds player came in on the tackle, dislodged the ball. And the referee, Luke Cooper's arguing, saying that the ball was knocked down. I think the officials got it right there because he was looking to offload it. There was John Davis.
Joe, just another point to make as well about the fact Rovers keeping the Rhinos scoreless. The Rhinos are, if you can call Rhinos, are playing downhill in this second half as well, which adds a bit more to the defensive effort that Rovers having to put in here.
Yeah, it poses yet more of a challenge for Featherstone, and perhaps this is not the outcome we'd have wanted from this second half. It's a great outcome in terms of preparation for the competitive season, though. Halifax will challenge us at times in that first match. But if we can ride out the challenge that Leeds are posing here, as we are now, forcing them into mistakes because they know they can't find a way through Featherstone at the moment. If we can do that against Leeds, we should be able to do it against Halifax.
Jordan Baldwinson is now being withdrawn, and on comes Jordan Roberts. We've also got Sam Hallis on as a replacement hooker for the Rhinos. So Leeds are ringing the changes at the minute.
And that's an excellent point there that's just been made about the fact that when a team gets frustrated and not able to find the way through your defence, they try things a bit out of the ordinary, or they get, like I say, they get frustrated and they do end up making mistakes. So Featherstone Rovers with the ball, the only thing that Featherstone can't do at the moment is sort of like get beyond this 30-metre line. It's the magic 30-metre line that Leeds are keeping us behind at the moment in our sets of 6. We're just struggling. The hunting in packs of Leeds, they're coming in with 3-4 players in every tackle. Their work rate has been high in terms of their defensive effort as well. Richard Moore having to offload in perhaps a tricky situation. It does come off though, and the ball is taken with Ian Harman, but he knocks on as he tries to play the ball. He's trying to do that quick play the ball. So another set of 6 not completed by Featherstone. Completion rate in the last 10 minutes has not been great for Featherstone.
We've got 12 minutes left here at the Big Fella Stadium. Still Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds Rhinos 18, as you were at half-time.
I think Richard Moore there making an offload in his home half. In the end, it does come off, but like you said, Joe, it can be a risk. Ultimately, though, we've signed a player who's 36, and it's been a part of his game all the way through his career. I don't think now is the time where he could have that coached out of him. That makes me think that perhaps we've brought him in because we want to make more use of the second phase this season.
That's a good point. Is that as Brett Delaney takes that ball in for the Rhinos and 35 metres out centre field.
And I do agree with you. I think that is the reason why we have bought him. And he is so dangerous when he does that. And a lot of, as Featherstone get pinged for offside there by
forward pass, I think.
Is it forward pass, sorry, from Leeds. So Featherstone are going to get the ball. But yes, I think that a lot of teams will come unstuck against Richard Moore passes this year going forward.
Indeed, it is a forward pass from the Rhinos just outside the Rovers 30. So a let off there for Featherstone. They are going to get head and feed at the scrum and a chance to build something. And when you're struggling to break a team down, I'm going to go back to a point which I've made on numerous occasions. I think Joe probably knows what I'm going to say. When you're struggling to break a team like that, you've got someone with the pace of Kyron Johnson down the wing. Do you go from a kick from the base of the scrum?
I'm not sure at 30 metres away from your own line in this kind of conditions, perhaps in hot, sunny, dry conditions, maybe a good option to do. But tonight, I'm not sure it's the sort of thing that you want to do. Richard Moore just being tackled there by the Leeds players.
That was high.
It looks a bit high around his head there. The Featherstone Rovers players do protest against that.
It was a high.
Given the decision.
It was a high tackle as well on Sunday, on halfway. So it gives Rovers a chance now to get some territory, some vital territory, which they've not had for quite a long spell, have we?
No, just looking down below, it looks like Richard Moore's going to leave the field. Luke Cooper's come on because he's got a little bit of a dead leg. He's pointing to the top of his right thigh there. He was bundled in the tackle, and I did say he got to his feet a bit gingerly. So Featherstone Rovers anyway on the attack here with Kyle Briggs. Gets it out to Josh Hardcastle. I think it's one of the few times he's actually touched the ball since he's come on there, Josh Hardcastle. So he gratefully takes that. It comes back to Daryl Griffin in the centre of the field. He's looking to offload, and he does, but the ball goes around. Sam Day collects it, though. And he turns around and takes the ball back forward 10 metres away from the Leeds line. Can Featherstone Rovers put any points on the board in the closing minutes of this match? It goes out to the right with Harman. Harman there to Jason Walton, who is pulled up a metre, 2 metres short out on that far side. He's actually gone into touch. The touch judge just put his flag up. It was quite a late call from the touch judge there, I must admit. Did seem as though he'd been on the floor for quite an eternity, didn't it?
That was a very late call, I have to say. I'm not sure if he was actually went into touch as he was standing up to play the ball, possibly, but
if a player goes out as they're playing the ball, then the ball is dead, so they can't be called in touch from that point. So it has to be before the tackle's completed.
Just fair enough. It was a very late call, though, but as it is, disappointing way for Rovers to end what again looked like a promising set. With 8 minutes left here at the Big Fella Stadium, still Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds Rhinos 18, and Rovers have done superbly in this second half. Granted, the Rhinos have made a lot of changes, but Rovers have done superbly in this second half, Joe, to keep it to 0.
I remember being a young lad and coming down to a pre-season friendly when it was Featherstone against Bradford, one of the elite sides of Super League back then, and they had this monstrous pack which ran through the Rovers at will and absolutely demolished us with their defence. Today, the Featherstone pack in the second half has stood up to the challenge. They've borne the brunt of some real hits from the Rhinos, some real thundering runs, but they are well and truly matching them in this second half. And on some occasions, they've got the better of them.
That must have been close to a 40-20. I personally thought the Rhinos were on the 40, but the referee says it must have been maybe half a yard outside. It is a scrum down head and feet to Rovers, 15 out from their own line.
Andy Bostock out there rubbing his hands together and blowing in them. It's so cold tonight. Those players deserve a medal. I know they do it for the love of the game as well as being professionals, but gosh, they must be wanting summer to come, as we all are up here in the gantry tonight.
Here's Scott Turner who plays that ball to Sam Day. Rovers going down that right-hand side now. It's a good drive in, is that, from Jason Walton. Plays the ball just shy of the 40. The ball's worked in field. Here's Brad Tagg. Sam Day again. That's a kick early. It turns the Rhinos round. That's a good kick. How's the chase? It's a good chase. Can Rovers complete the tackle? They can't. But the second phase in are able to complete it. It was a great kick, but the chasers just couldn't quite get there, Joanne.
It was an inventive kick. It was early on in the tackle count, was it? It wasn't quite the last tackle. Not sure if we could have got a little bit closer to the post before we put that in. I'm not sure whether that would have been better. But as it is, Leeds have got the possession once again and bringing it away 35 metres away from their own line.
Got 5 minutes left here at the Big Fella Stadium. It's still Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds Rhinos 18. The Rhinos are on their own 40. An untidy play. The ball as Lilly juggles it once and then offloads. But that Rovers defence as well. Johnny Davis.
I was just going to say, Ben, since the introduction of John Davis, Jordan Lilly puts a kick there off the side of his boot. It's taken well by Ian Harman. Juggled it a little bit, but still took it well. Kyron Johnson also did well tracking back to take the heat off Harman a little bit there. But yeah, it's what I was going to say about the Featherstone Rovers defence, and I called it out right at the beginning of this second half when John Davis came on. His work rate is second to none, and he has an effect on the Featherstone defence, and he is the sort of person who when you were asking me actually at half-time who would be a cert, I'd say that he's a cert to go into that Featherstone starting 17 against Halifax, as long as he keeps injury-free in these last few minutes.
So we have just got 4.5 minutes left. I'm going to come to you to let you have a discussion between you as the Rovers are on the attack here on the Rhinos 40. It's the last tackle. So Sam Day comes left to Kyle Briggs. Brings a kick over the top. He finds the ground. That's a great kick from Kyle Briggs, turning that Rhinos defence around. It's going to be a scrum down, head and feed on the Rhinos 10. Joe, a lot of good performances for Rovers out there. It's been a difficult conditions, a difficult match, but who's the standout players, first of all, for Rovers?
Well, you've got to look at what's been the impressive part of this Rovers performance, and that's been the second half defensive effort. The three men leading that for me are the Rovers free ball blokes. It's John Davis, Richard Moore and Darryl Griffin. All three of them, such a great work rate. Ian Hardman gets the sponsors man of the match. But for me, top in the pile, played in both halves, put in some big hits, put in some thundering runs. It's Richard Moore. I feel that we've had players who can put in a hit or do something that lifts the team. Jack Bussey the year before last was one of those players. Last year, I felt we were missing that in some moments. Talapapa did it at times, but I feel like Richard Moore can be a man to do it this season, and he's done it at points today against his former club.
Joanne, any thoughts from yourself?
Yeah, it was a unanimous decision there from the co-commentators on Richard Moore. He has caused problems, although he's given a penalty. Oh, no, sorry, it's Darryl Griffin who's given the penalty away there. Fellow Baldy. So, yeah, Richard Moore, he's caused problems. He's looked to create something in attack and just everything else that Joe's just said. So, 2 minutes left, 2.5 minutes left of this game, and Leeds, with that penalty there, holding down by Darryl Griffin, it's taken in.
By Brett Delaney.
Yep.
So, it is Richard Moore who gets the Rovers TV man of the match this afternoon. A worthy choice. He has had a really strong game this evening, should I say. Keep saying this afternoon, it's not.
It's dark out there. It's bedtime.
It is actually. No, I'm not far off. And the Rhinos are over. Disappointing for Rovers. The Rhinos are over in the corner.
Jimmy Kinehorse there, he came onto a very flat pass. It was a lovely delayed pass, and he came onto it at speed, Jimmy Kinehorse, over on that left-hand side and scored and went over the line. Bit tough on Featherstone, that, but it was good play by Leeds.
An excellent pass. It was a delayed pass which drew the defence in, and then the pass out wide to Jimmy Kinehorse. He couldn't, the line opened up, through a gap and in the corner. And it's now Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds Rhinos 22.
It's been an unbelievable defensive effort from Featherstone. But Jimmy Kinehorse there, finishing off a move. It was fast-paced, going over to that left-hand side. They gave it hands, and they showed a bit of class to find their way over. Leeds have been a better team tonight, but they've been a top-class side here at the Big Fellas Stadium. They've given Featherstone a real test, and a test that you fancy the Rovers will be better for next week.
Indeed they will. It's like I said, they will have wanted to keep the Rhinos. Disappointing to concede, should I say. So close to the full-time hooter when you've defended so well for 39 minutes of that second half. To keep them scoreless, for them to go over in the last minute, it is disappointing for Rovers.
Well, to get a nil for the second half, there's an unbelievable conversions made there. Full time now in sight for both teams. If we'd have managed to nil a team that we're borrowing players from on dual edge in the second half, it would have been unbelievable as a boost going into the next game. As it is, we've still got to take a lot from this defensive effort.
Shouldn't be disheartened from that late Kinehorse try. It was good play by Leeds there. We just weren't up to it. And they'd been put in that position on the back of a penalty, so they've made those metres down the field at Leeds and been put in that position with a couple of minutes left on the clock. And like I say, but look at that. You've got, with seconds remaining, you've got the Featherstone Rovers defence after that kick going in powerfully. They're doing it right to the final whistle of Featherstone Rovers here. And the pack is still going in as fresh as when they first came out on that field at the beginning of the evening at 7:45. So in terms of fitness as well, that was the other thing that I was going to say is I wouldn't say that our fitness has decreased at all during this game, and we're playing against a full-time team. And there the final whistle goes. So I don't know, Ben, if you want to just sum up the game.
Indeed, it was a try for Jack Ormond that got it all going after 6 minutes for the Rhinos by Liam Sutcliffe. He left the field shortly after what looked like quite a nasty injury. Purcell then went over for a try for the Rhinos, converted again by Sutcliffe. That was after 15 minutes, and you're thinking at that point, Leeds were looking strong going up the slope. Is this going to be a score reminiscent of the playoffs at that stage? But Rovers rallied. They tightened up the defence, credit to them, and they kept the Rhinos out for 20 minutes till Liam Sutcliffe went over for a try, which he converted himself. That only on the back of a mistake from Andy Bostock. And then an unbelievable second half defensive effort from Featherstone Rovers, resulting in only one try for Jimmy Kinehorst in the dying seconds, which was converted again by Sutcliffe. A 24-0 defeat, Joseph, but that doesn't really reflect the game, does it, Joe?
Not really. Well, not the second half. I think 18-0 would have been an adequate reflection of the game. 24-0 sounds as though we've been thrashed a little bit, and I certainly wouldn't say that. One thing I am worried about down there, Richard Moore's just coming out on the field, is limping slightly. I hope that's just a slight knock that he will get over quickly. We certainly don't want any lasting injuries from this game. The good thing is, with this being a Friday night game, there's more than a week for these players to recover now. Hopefully he'll be able to enjoy his 36th birthday and come back raring to go and fit for the Halifax game.
It's been a strong performance by that Rovers in the second half. You mentioned when we talked about the match, the three baldies. They've been superb, but John Davis has really proved a point in the second half, hasn't he?
He definitely has. Last year, he was one of the players of the season, undoubtedly. He'd come in, a man from Sheffield. He'd always been impressive against us, and he was very impressive in Rovers shirt. Over the course of the close season, we've made a lot of acquisitions in that second row position. He now finds himself with more competition than he ever had. And there were some people saying he wouldn't get a starting berth. Today, I think he's proved that he should.
Thank you very much for your company today. It's been a pleasure.
It certainly has been.
I will see you next week at Halifax. Get yourself down for what should be a fantastic performance. It is full-time here, though, at the Big Fella Stadium. Featherstone Rovers 0, Leeds Rhinos 24.